The topic for today's discussion is how to thrive during watering restrictions. So I'm sure, as some of you know, we've been under 2-day per week watering restrictions since June of last year, so June 2022. Um, and that's mainly due to the infrastructure limitations that we have, not so much a water supply issue, but those as we've gotten towards the end of summer, that particularly last year was a concern, but this year a little bit as well. But yeah, mostly, and that's going to be the primary focus of the water talk today is talking about um, infrastructure and um, things that we don't really think about every day. We can see the lakes, we turn on our faucets, um, and the water comes out. We can see when the lakes drop, but we may not really know what's going on behind the scenes at our water treatment plants and the pumps and the elevated water towers and things like that. So um, this meeting will be recorded, so I can send out a link afterwards. And feel free, if you have questions at any point, to put those in the chat box, and either myself or Brandon with the Town of Northlake we can answer those at the end. So we will go ahead and get started. Let me switch this. Hey, so welcome to Water Talk, how to thrive during watering restrictions. For those who don't know about Upper Trinity Regional Water District, we were created in 1989 by the state legislature at the request of the communities that we serve, which is currently 29 communities in Denton and Collin counties that we provide drinking water and wastewater treatment services for. And this is a look at our service area. You can see some of the cities that we serve. You see the notable exceptions would be Denton and Louisville, even though our major water treatment plant, the Taylor Water Treatment Plant, is located in Louisville, along with our main headquarters. But we also have our Harpool Water Treatment Plant up near Providence Village along 380. And you can see, you notice all these towns are all growing very fast. And so that's definitely put a strain on our infrastructure. Here's a look, an aerial view of our Taylor Water Treatment Plant in Louisville with the lake in the background. This plant can treat up to 70 million gallons of water a day. And since it began operation in 1997, it has received numerous awards, including Best Tasting Water in Texas 3 separate times. And this is our Harpool Water Treatment Plant up in Providence Village, and you can see it looks different because it's all contained within that larger building behind in the background. And that's because this is a membrane filtration plant, so it's different from the Taylor plant. And this one began operation in 2005, and it's also received Outstanding Large Membrane Plant and Best Tasting Membrane Water from the South Central Membrane Association, which includes Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Oklahoma. So lots of great awards that our staff here has received. Our current water sources, the Louisville Lake is our major one, especially for our Taylor plant. But we also get water that flows down from Ray Roberts. And then we have a joint pipeline with the city of Irving that brings water from Chapman Lake about 80 miles east of here. And then in just a few short years, we will have Lake Croft Hall built. It's currently under construction. And so about 2026, we're expecting to be able to bring water over from Fannin County from Lake Croft Hall. So when we're talking about water supply, water infrastructure, the big thing that we have to grapple with here in North Texas, and really just all of Dallas-Fort Worth as a whole, is population growth. The Dallas-Fort Worth area added 1 million people in the last decade, and we're expecting to add another 1 million in this current decade that we're in by 2030. In fact, Denton County just surpassed the 1 million mark for how many people are in the county. And so that more people using water, but they're not bringing water with them, particularly our folks from out of state. And then there's a quote that I've always loved, and I've never been able to find where it originated from, but another couple of things that we have to grapple with is the weather, the climate. And this quote is, Texas is in a continual state of drought, broken by the occasional flood. So we definitely have these dry and wet cycles that we have to manage through. So 2015 to 2018 or 19 was a relatively wet period for our region as a whole. So, but these last 2 years have been very hot and dry, as I'm sure most of you can tell. So it's been quite a challenge. So when we talk about water conservation, we want to talk about why it matters, and it helps to reduce our seasonal and peak demands, especially in the summertime. And my next slide is going to show a chart talking about that, and then Brandon is going to talk about that a lot. We can increase our community sustainability if we can better manage the water resources we have, and extend out the life or the adequacy of water supplies and our water infrastructure. Then we can help keep our costs lower, because all these projects, no matter what they are very, very, very expensive. Like I said, it's the cheapest source of new water. If we're not having to build new water supplies or expand our treatment plants or put in bigger pipes and pumps, then we can save a lot of water that way. So this is what I was talking about this is a chart of our daily water demand, or basically how much water we're using on a daily basis. And so you can see the gray shaded in area is our 5-year average from 2018 to 2022. And then the red line is last year's water usage. And then the blue line is this year's water usage. So as you can see, and that's probably kind of hard to tell, but near the end of June last year in 2022, so that red line is when we implemented stage 1 water restrictions, and water usage still went up a little bit, but then in mid-August or so, we started, actually beginning of August, we started getting rains, and that really brought water usage down. But as you can see in the blue line, we haven't really had that luxury this year. It's still been hot and very dry, and we're currently in extreme drought conditions for most of Denton County. And so luckily, we are happy to see water usage starting to go down. But you can see on August 17th of this year, we set a new record for how much water we treated in one day. And I forgot to mention the Harpool plant can treat up to 30 million gallons of water a day. So a combined total of 100 million gallons of water per day. And in one day, we treated 82.5 million gallons of water. So that's, with that amount of water, that's everything is going, everything's working, and we hope it's working correctly. And so you can see, comparing the winter months, December through February, where our demand is, just under 30 million gallons a day, compared to our summer months, where it's 60 to 80 million gallons a day on any given day. You can see we attribute a lot of that to outdoor irrigation. And so this is those seasonal demands that we need to help reduce, but also the peak demands to be able to better mitigate these high usage times. And so with that, I want to introduce Brandon Dowdy. He's the Public Works Superintendent with the Town of Northlake. He's been with the town for 10 years, and he's going to talk to us about their experience with trying to reduce watering and having to manage the infrastructure that they have from the town. Because the way this works is Upper Trinity is the wholesale entity that we provide water to the cities, and then the cities take that water and distribute it to your homes, businesses, schools, and things like that. So, Brandon, with that, I will let you take it away. And just tell me when you want me to advance the slide.
Okay. Thanks for having me. Yeah, the keeping up with the water conservation and reducing the water for me, it's more on a functioning side to make sure my pump stations, my elevateds, they're all staying pretty full, I guess as you could say, since I mean we are always in a drought. We've been in stage 1 water conservation since last year. We didn't stop. We didn't turn it over in the winter and let everybody think that, oh, it's okay to water 4 or 5 times a day during the winter time, or a week during the winter time. We kept it at stage 1, making sure everybody knows, hey, we're not going to change this 2 times a week. And that's helped us in the long run. And the next slide I'm about to show is how much water can actually be used, and this is a 48-hour time period. And looking at the graph, this is from our SCADA system. This is our main pump station. We have 3 pump stations. This is our largest. This is what we call our harvest pump station with our harvest elevated. That elevated is a 1.25 million gallon elevated storage tank. And this starts at 4 p.m. on August 22nd. And right all the way to the left, as you can see, we have about 1.1 million gallons in that elevated. Just watching the trend go down, the bottom lines are our pumps. When I say try to keep everything full, well, the pumps have to turn on. So in a sense, that's going to use more electricity, put more wear on your pumps. Anything can happen. I think everybody knows in construction, it's going to happen. It probably will happen. But if you're watching the graph, these go into 3-hour intervals. And by, what is that? Right at 6 a.m.? I'm sorry, 6 a.m. Yeah, we're right at 12 feet in the elevated, and that's right at 375,000 gallons. So in that short of a time frame, those pumps are on, trying to pump water out, and when all 3 pumps are on, we're pushing out almost 5,000 gallons a minute into our system, and that can put some strain on the pump station. I put strain on the pumps, and then more electricity throughout the summer as well with our power grid in Texas. I mean, everybody knows we have to try to conserve water and try to conserve electricity. So luckily, we were able to recover after everybody stopped pulling very hard, which a lot of that, as you can see in that time frame, that really hard drop is between that midnight and 6 a.m. And midnight, 6 a.m. is when people like to run their irrigation. So we were able to recover at least by 2 p.m. On August 23rd. My pumps get about 2 hours of rest, and then they're back at it again. And you can see coming right back along, right about that 8 p.m. it just starts going again. They turn on again, and when the elevator gets to a certain level, that 3rd pump kicks on. And again, that's more strain. If 3 pumps are running, we only have 4. So if one goes down, we're down to those pumps running that cycle. And this is just one of our pump stations. I have 2 more that I'm actually keeping an eye on right now, because we got a really hard pull this morning, and one of our pump stations is down a little bit than normal, about 6 feet down more than normal right now. It should already be recovered, but I'm going to have to work this afternoon and try to get some more over there. So that's really the way that I look at it. I look at it at an operational standpoint. Yes, we need the water. Absolutely. The water conservation needs to stay in. And if there's more things that a municipality can do to try to keep that to where we keep as much water going through our faucets instead of outdoor irrigation, the better. I know Blake really likes it that we up our subscription so we can keep up with the gallons per minute, but it's still it's hard on us as well because we have to go out and we have to give notices to people who are watering not on their days, or we have to go do 5 or 6 check for leaks a day because people don't believe that, oh, if I run my irrigation system for 5 days out of the week, that I'm not going to have a high water bill. And that's the difficult part. Even some people who run the irrigation systems only 2 days a week, if you let it run for 12 hours, it's going to run about 7,000 gallons. And that's a difficult thing to explain to somebody because they're not understanding, but at the same time, I have the data to back it up and, hey, cut back on it. It's Texas. Not a lot of greenery is going on right now. So it's dry. It's dry. It's going to be dry. Water your foundation, but let's limit those irrigation systems a little bit more. Blake, if you want to hit the next one, these are our designated watering days. Even addresses, Wednesdays and Saturdays, and odd are Sunday and Thursday. There is one more. We have a business day, which is Tuesday and Friday. That I don't think I gave that to you, Blake, but Tuesdays and Fridays. Monday is our no watering day. Mondays for us, it's a good recovery day. We can get all of our elevateds, all of our pump stations and ground storage tanks filled back up and get ready for the week coming. Just for reference, also that 22nd and 23rd, we use right about 75% of our subscription from Upper Trinity, and that's between 2 pump stations. We used 6 million gallons just at the Harvest pump station in those both days, 6 million both days. So that's one of our big concerns is try to cut some of it out because we can keep more water in the lake and less water on our yards.
Yeah, so Brandon, these you kind of touched on it, but just want to make sure everyone caught that these designated watering days are designed to allow you to better manage the water flow in and out, to help your pumps have a break, to help your water storage levels recover back up, so that, like you said, you can be ready for the next few days of watering activity. But it allows you to spread out the pull down of that water level on those days.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So really having that Tuesday and Friday designated as the business day, any type of business that might want to run their irrigation. We're very fortunate. A lot of our businesses are on our south side of town, which it's not a very large system. It's predominantly businesses. So a lot of our pool is during the day for them, and then irrigation at night. So we're able to stay a little bit more level down there. But for residential, these help so much because I can say, okay, if I can just get to Monday, I'm going to be okay because I can recover a heck of a lot better. And having the addresses like that too, that helps us with enforcement. We know on Wednesdays, then we can check out even addresses, or if we're out riding around on Monday and Tuesday because it's just pulling so hard, we can say, hey, nobody's supposed to be watering residential on Tuesdays. Anybody that we see that's watering, hey, we're going to knock on their door. We're going to give them a handout, say, hey, this is our watering days. We're in stage 1 water conservation. And we take note. And then we will enforce. So that's really a good thing. Most people, we knock on the door, hey, this is when you're supposed to be watered. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. And I'll go out there and change it right now. So some of it is, some people might just not know what the day is. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, Brandon. And if you have any questions for Brandon, feel free to put those in the chat, and if he can stick around till the end, we'll get to those at the end. But now we're going to talk about some of those outdoor water saving actions you can take to help limit your outdoor watering. Some of the resources and programs that we have in place for us, but also on behalf of our customers like Northlake. So the first action would be to limit our outdoor watering to only as needed. And something that people don't realize is just how much sprinklers or how much water sprinklers use. You know, your regular spray heads, they can use, each one can use 3 to 5 gallons per minute. The rotor heads can go anywhere from 3 to 9 gallons per minute, depending on the model. Those multi-stream nozzles, anywhere from 1 to 5 gallons. So you know, add up how many minutes you're watering, how many sprinkler heads you have. That adds up really quick, and you could easily hit 1,000 gallons every time you water. You know, a lot of people are afraid of their sprinkler controller because they're not the most intuitive things to take care of. So wanted to point out a couple things. This program button, every controller has 3 or 4 programs, and that's A, B, C, and D, if it has that 4th one. And this is important because, especially if you have just moved into a house or you just bought a new house from the builder, it's important to go through each program to check if there's, you know, any start times or run times set, because I always like to tell the story of a lady in Flower Mound that I went to go help her out because she had an $800 water bill, and she said, I'm only watering 2 days a week. So I started checking all the programs and found out that she was actually watering 5 days a week for a lot longer than she thought. So she just turned that controller off and just left it off. Your run times, that's how long that station or zone will run. Once you have a start time set, then it will run for however many minutes you set it for. And we'll provide some recommendations here in a minute. And then when you want to manually check your sprinklers, this is where these manual buttons are where you want to be able to do like a 1 or 2 minute test of each zone. So for the last 2 years, we've had the Water Less Y'all campaign going on, trying to let folks know about some easy water saving actions like the Texas 2-step, which is water no more than 2 days per week and not between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. And, you know, a lot of that's based on the scientific research that's been done showing that 2 days per week is more than enough. And you definitely don't want to water in the middle of the day and lose most of that water to evaporation. But, you know, a lot of people, that's hard to believe. And so we actually, unfortunately, have a video of, this is Dr. Becky Bowling, who is unfortunately now in a good state of Tennessee, but she was a turfgrass specialist here in Dallas, and this was one of her big key points, was that watering, we should never need to water more than 2 days per week, and that's because we want to train our grasses to search or send their roots deeper into the ground to find that water that is deeper in the ground, because the way our clay soils work is that water will move down through the soil. So when you actually see the top of the soil as dry, that doesn't mean everything is dry. It still has water deeper in the soil. So we want that grass and those plants to build up their root system deeper, which will make them more resilient in these really hot and the last couple of years really cold temperatures that we get. And so we do have a full lawn care basics video that she did for us on our website and YouTube, and I will post a link to that in a little while. This is one of our weather stations that we own here at the district. We affectionately refer to these as Dorothy 1, 2, or 3. If you've seen the movie Twister, it kind of reminds us of that. But this is a weather station that collects rainfall, temperature, solar radiation, wind, and humidity data every day to send that to Texas A&M to implement in the Water My Yard program. So this is just the website, watermyyard.org. It's a free program that, based on the weather conditions and the time of year, they will give you, if you sign up, and when you sign up, provide information about your sprinklers, like what type of sprinkler head you have and things like that, then they will tell you how many minutes you need to water each week. So this is a great resource to prevent overwatering, basically just enough to keep the yard healthy. In 2022, we had that hot, dry summer, just like this year, but we only needed to water 21 weeks out of the whole year. So just being able to turn the sprinkler controller off on some of these weeks is going to help save you a lot of water. There is they do have an app for it for iPhone and Android devices as well. There's the QR code for that, but it's just watermyyard.org. But we also don't want to water too much at one time. Our heavy clay soils they can only absorb about a 1/4 inch per hour. So that's when you get a lot of these situations happening where the soil just can't absorb any more water. So it just runs off onto the street and down the gutter. So that's when we want to use the cycle and soak method to water, which is you do a shorter cycle, you wait an hour, do another short cycle, wait an hour, and if you need to do a third cycle, then you can, and that way you get that deep, what we call deep watering, where it's absorbing all that water and it's pushing it further down into the soil. So what do those cycle times look like? Well, for the regular spray heads, you can get a 1/4 inch of water in 6 minutes or so. And these are very general recommendations, but 5 to 6 minutes, you can have that 1/4 inch of water. For our rotor heads, it may be more like 10 to 15 minutes. And then for these multi-stream nozzles, that would be about 25 minutes. And, I'm sure we've all had foundation issues at our home, especially these last couple years. And that's one of the bad things about our heavy clay soils is that they shrink and they swell really bad, depending on how much rainfall we get. And so, but instead of using our full sprinkler system just to water our foundation, we could use a drip line or soaker hose and attach it to an outdoor faucet and water uh, around our foundation, as needed. So a good rule of thumb is basically when you see the soil pulling away from the foundation of the home, it's time to water, and basically water it, as long as you need to where that soil is saturated. And then if you need to do it every day, every other day, that's fine as well. Next, we want to maintain and just keep our sprinklers working properly. I mean, this is Texas, not Wyoming. We shouldn't have geysers like this, um, around everywhere. So we want to address the inefficiency and waste from broken heads and things like that. So every month, at least, we want to check for broken heads or nozzles, misaligned heads, and that was one of my kids' feet that pops in there at the end. misaligned heads that are spraying the street or the driveway or the sidewalk and not the grass. Clogged nozzles that aren't letting out as much. Sunken heads that aren't getting up above the plant material and actually spraying out, and then plant obstruction. Unfortunately, this sprinkler head at my house, I've had to replace about 4 times the last couple years because it's right at the corner of the driveway and the sidewalk, so it's gotten ran over a few too many times. So here's another geyser, and the bad thing about these is that one broken sprinkler head can waste up to 10 gallons per minute because all the pressure, and it affects the pressure in all the other heads, so they're not putting out nearly as much water as they need to. And so you really are going to negatively impact your yard. So there's a couple things I want to mention on this. First, you see the bubbling up from the base of the sprinkler head. That could indicate there's a break in the head itself or in the sprinkler line. But also, can you see the spray pattern? A lot of it is spraying out onto the concrete. And we know that concrete doesn't grow, so we don't need to water it. Even if we have our drip lines, we do need to check those because if, especially if you have your yard professionally taken care of, this one was cut, and helping this person out, we turned the system on to check, and there was mulch on all over the yard because this blew the mulch out all over the place. You want to make sure if you have heads that are tilted one side, one way or the other, to straighten those out because you're going to get, like you see on the left, photo on the left, a lot of water being thrown up almost straight into the air where it's just going to mostly evaporate. So you just remove some of the soil from the side it's leaning, and then pack it back in once you're able to straighten it out by hand. Plant obstruction, either shrubs or even tall grass, can affect the spray that's coming out of your sprinklers. So be sure to make sure they're free of obstruction. Broken and clogged nozzles, obviously, if that occurs, then you're not getting the water spray out that you need to water your yard. Next, we want to think about upgrading. So upgrading our sprinkler controller and different parts. There's tons of good smart controllers out there now, and we particularly like to focus on the ones that are that have the water sense label from the EPA on them. And a lot of these, there's a couple great features. One is they hook to your phone, and they're much more intuitive that way for programming. But also, some of these controllers will actually hook into the local weather information, similar to Water My Yard, and can help you better schedule your sprinklers as well. Rain freeze sensors are great because if we get one of these rain events that comes through overnight while you're asleep, then it will turn your sprinkler system off, so that you don't waste water by watering when you don't need to. In some of our areas, we might have high pressure issues, and so you get a lot of misting and things like that would lead to more evaporative loss. And so getting these pressure regulated sprinkler bodies can help reduce that, get it back to what the pressure that these sprinkler heads are designed to operate at their best at. And so it's just, there's a little, you can see inside the sprinkler head, there's just a little pressure regulator that restricts the flow coming into this head, and so it works to the best of its ability. And the EPA says that if every home installed these water sense labeled sprinkler bodies, we could save 31 billion gallons of water every year. So, and that's just in not wasting that water. These multi-stream nozzles are 30% more efficient than the regular spray heads. And that's because you can see they have these individual streams of water that put out larger drops of water. And so that they have less chance of evaporating, and it takes longer to apply the same amount of water. And so you're going to get much better absorption rates with that. And you can kind of see how it operates this. And they're called multi-stream or MP rotors. And on a lot of these, you could basically just go buy the nozzle at your hardware store or irrigation store and just replace the nozzle, so you don't have to do a lot of digging. You can just replace the nozzle. Now, you would want to replace all the nozzles in a zone because of the different rates of water going out. You wouldn't want to not have as much water in one area as opposed to another if it's in that same sprinkler zone. Drip irrigation is a great thing to do for your foundation, for gardens, for flower beds, and it's 90% more efficient, or even closer to 100% more efficient, because it delivers that water slowly and directly at the root zone. But if you do have these existing spray heads in these areas, they do have kits at like Lowe's, Home Depot, and other places that you could actually convert those sprinkler heads to a drip zone. We do have a Green Pros program where we've had numerous irrigation landscape companies that have gone through a series of classes with us, the Tarrant Regional Water District, and the local AgriLife offices. Just more information on water conservation, sustainability, and native landscaping, and the latest irrigation technology. So you can visit that directory if you need help with that. And then last, we want to look at our plants themselves. Some plants require more water than others, particularly non-native plants. So that's why we promote native plant landscaping. This is our part of our garden, WaterWise demonstration garden here at our Louisville campus. That these are all native or adaptive plants that require much less water than turf grass or even non-native plants that we might want to plant. And we have different styles to showcase that you can still have lots of beauty with these native plants. So why native plants? Well, they require less water, less fertilizer, because they're accustomed to the soils and climate of our region. They're heat, drought, and cold tolerant for the same reason, and they provide food and shelter for our local pollinators like butterflies, hummingbirds, and bees, things like that that help us sustain our ecosystem, because we need those pollinators to do their job, particularly for our crops, our food crops. And I mean, just look at how beautiful these plants are anyways. So a couple of resources for that: the Texas Smartscape website. They have a plant database, so you can try to find the right plants for the right place. Some are more shade tolerant, and there's some that like full sun, and so you want to be sure to recognize that difference. And we have a whole several recorded classes about this topic as well. But definitely want to talk about the Denton County Master Gardeners, Collin County Master Gardeners, Tarrant County Master Gardeners. These are all highly trained volunteers who they love plants. They have a help desk. They do plant sales throughout the year. They do a lot of educational classes and demonstrations, and their website is great. They also have plant selection and landscape design resources as well. And it's that dcmga.com. Finally, we have our own publication, this Water Efficient Lawn and Garden Care for North Texas. It goes through a lot of what I've been talking about already. And you can visit that website or scan that QR code to get to that PDF on our website. And I can come back if anyone needs me to. But want to highlight a couple of upcoming events. On September 30th, the Master Gardeners actually are hosting the Fall into Gardening event, which Upper Trinity is sponsoring, and that's a lot of native plant focused and drip irrigation and things like that, demonstrations and presentations on that day. And so would definitely encourage you to check that out. And then our next water talk is going to be on tree planting and care on October 4th. Trees have had a really hard time this year, the last couple of years as well. And so we'll have Mike Sills from the Texas A&M Forest Service talking to us about how to care for our trees, how to recognize signs of drought stress and invasive pests, disease concerns. But if you lost a tree and you want to plant another tree, proper planting techniques and things like that, and that's all on our website. There you can see that address